Hello everyone. First of all, apologies if somebody has signed up for this session and then you saw Sam's name on the session and last minute we had to change and then I'm taking over his session. So I'm basically gate crashing there. Basically a little bit, we'll be talking about on building a complex problem. So, and then what are the hiccups that you have to go through and then what are the guidelines that you should follow, right? So this is based on my learning that I have been doing past decade or so, and then little bit of learning that I had from the actual real-time problem, and then real-time solving those problems, and then some from the folks, the professors that taught me, and then some business folks or the entrepreneurs have taught me, and some customers and investors have taught me, right? So around that, okay. So before that. Little bit about myself. So I'm Mithelesh Kumar and I'm born and brought up in India, and I have been working with a lot of folks from retail, manufacturing, bit of finance, and then longer period of time for SaaS businesses. And then I've been mostly, basically by profession I'm a data scientist, so I was building data analytics projects, the solutions AI-based, conversational AI-based feature and all. And then I have seen a company, let's say for example, Gainsight, if somebody knows, I was early employee of Gainsight, and then I have seen coming from 0 to 1 and then becoming a unicorn. So I was a core data scientist for them, building customer experience and data science at that platform. And then I helped MetLife as well around the forecasting, and then building, recently you might have seen the pet, they have acquired pet. So recommendation engine I have built for them. So maybe if some glitches are there, you can blame me on that. Okay, and then and then 1.5 years back, I started my own thing, data plant, and then we have got Arch grant. Tomorrow is the announcement. It's not yet public, so we are into this cohort. And and on the side, I do I take some live classes as well. I teach professionals data science and then analytics stuff. And in between, I do participate in hackathon. This is one of the proof here. So actually this was one back in 2019 when I won a national level hackathon in India actually. So there are a billion people and a lot of fight I had to do for that. So first thing first, I'm first time to St. Louis. Just 3 weeks ago I landed here. So I'm meeting a lot of folks. I'm exploring places thanks to Arch Grant, who took us to city tour and all. And then I have heard about a lot of foods, and then I have tried. One thing is pending is like gooey butter cake and then emo pizza. That's the two things. If somebody wants to have with me, I can join. And then this is the guy who you might have seen when this session was actually rolled in the portal. So I'm taking over. He's my CEO and co-founder. So I'm having good time. And then how can I forget the weather here? I have seen warm, cold, rain, 2 days back snow as well. So this is amazing. We don't see all those things back home. So now back to the business. So what exactly I'll be talking about today. So maybe a little bit of disclaimer there, right? So in the context of the complex problem, if you are solving some non-conventional problem, so in that context, what are the guidelines or things that you should follow? Because whatever things that I'm going to question in this session, it might be like, it might look obvious, it works, so how come you can question this one? But that works only if you are working with a conventional problem. If you are bringing some disrupting idea or maybe something unconventional, which is not there in the market, right? For that, you have to take a different route, and around that I'm going to talk about, okay? So typically what happens, like you might have heard about, company has failed, this is the XYZ reason, these many company fails because of this one, this succeeds because of this one and all. But if you boil down to everything, all the so-called philosophy or the theory or the guidelines, whatever they throw in, ultimately you didn't got the traction, people didn't like it. And then people could be your consumer, your investor, your competitor, whatever, right? So ultimately people didn't like, and then that's how you end up with the low traction, right? So what happens is initially we are trying to solve too many problems, right? Especially you have very small team, and then you are trying to bring your unique idea. At the same time, basically, you are trying to satisfy your early traction customer as well. You can call it as a prospect or the customer or like early users, right? So you're trying to help them. At the same time, you are trying to work with your unique idea as well. And because of the crunch, right, you end up in a very tight rope to balance yourself, and then you end up, in multiple direction. Basically, your system will be leaking, right? So I mean, you have issue with your resources, you have issue with the whatever initial traction you have got, and then since you are too much into the early users, right? Because let me put this way. So sometimes getting early traction is good, sometimes it's bad, especially if you have some longer futuristic vision, then it's bad for you. I mean, if you are too much stuck to that particular early traction itself, because you might be doing things what the customer has told you. I mean, what is their pain points are, but you are not really focusing on whatever your vision was, and then what exactly you want to achieve there, right? So initially you have very little resources, and then you are trying to solve their problem, whatever initial users have given to you, and at the same time you are trying to bring your own uniqueness as well, and then trying to solve something for your new customers as well. So you need to basically acquire more and more customers there, right? So while doing so, satisfying the existing one, trying to acquire new users, and then you don't have much bandwidth there, right? Only few people you will have it, right? So ultimately what happens is you will be sitting on the mess, right? And then what I'm talking about here is this is the output of what decisions or what kind of a step that you might have taken earlier. So this is not the real problem. Maybe this is the outcome of what decision that you have taken. So I'll take you through what is the root cause of the the target that you are getting here. So basically we are told to do wrong things. Again, I'll reiterate that. I mean, if you are building some conventional problem, solving conventional problem, then this might not be right what I'm considering right now. So basically what we do, we are told to go to the market, study competitor, see who all are building these things. You don't have to worry about R&D and all, because these people are big, they might have done a lot of research around this domain, and then you try to get inspired and then solve the problem, right? But while doing so, basically you are mimicking somebody, right? So while basically by mimicking somebody, you cannot lead the market, or you cannot lead the segment, or you cannot basically disrupt the market, right? So if you have got some unique idea, and then you are really solving unconventional problem, you got to move away from there. I understand sometimes you might have to do these stuff to get initial traction or something, just to have some talk track there, right? But early you pivot from that, better it will be for you. Then this agile one, I have faced this problem, because while I was building I have built product for enterprise, I have built product for startups, I have sold product, in earliest beta itself, I have got 500,000 booking for just my beta product. So that kind of product also I have built. So what I have felt, agile is good. I'm not questioning agile. But if you are into that kind of problem, I'll dig deeper into that, what I'm talking about on the agile, but agile does not work every time. You have to, get another route there. So if you 100% follow agile, you'll be ultimately building some small pieces, and then you'll be stuck on the, I have 100 things, but nothing works the way I thought of, nothing works cohesively there. And then third thing, what I was saying, right? You should listen to your customer, but don't drive your development based on what they said. Rather, you build a narrative around it, and then try to connect with your idea, what you are trying to bring to the market, and then try to solve your problem. Never just think about the customer. No, you have to basically align it with what actually you are trying to build there. Then only you will be able to solve that complex problem. Little bit basically double clicking on individuals, right? So when I say that mimicking the individual product, right? So in my experience, I have been working with Gainsight almost 6 years. I have early 20 employee I was there, and then it was Jabra, not even Gainsight, and then it became Unicorn. I have seen how the journey they have done, and then even today I know tons of shortcomings or the loopholes in the process. Not just Gainsight too. I mean, any post-sales or customer success tool, you name it, Totango, ChurnZero, or these new company like PlanHat or JetScale, these company, right? Today, even tons of use cases are there that is untouched. And then why I'm saying it's not just my gut feeling. Back in 2017 and 18, I used to provide services in this domain, in post-sales community. And then I used to get project like this. because there is a problem, I was easily solving those solutions, then people were buying it. So if I try to, mimic somebody, maybe I'm just trying to, somebody has already laid down the road, I'm just trying to do the patchwork or maybe some extra stuff, some enhancement I'm trying to do, then obviously somebody who has created that domain, right, he will be leader in that domain. I cannot beat Gainsight if I go via mimicking Gainsight, right, because they coined this customer success domain. I mean, earlier there was no customer success, they created it. So the kind of problem they were solving, if you are really having some problem where, you want to make an impact, you want to disrupt the market, you have to think differently. You should not mimic somebody. So instead, if you have some futuristic idea, right, so in that case, you should basically stick to your vision, take a stance, right? You might fail here, there is a problem, because you are making bold decision, you might fail, but there is a higher chances that you might disrupt the market as well. On the other side, definitely you will be end up just another product. You will do some business, but definitely you are not solving the complex problem. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit very high level. There is some technical problem as well. I mean, if I talk about at the product development level, right? Because I'm CTO of data plant as well, so I take care of heavy technical part of the implementation and all. So there are a lot of problems at the implementation level as well. So how you do the data modeling, how you do, how your system design should be there, how the consumption has to happen, right? But I'm not going even that level. I'm talking about the very high level, the decision making that you do, and then how you are proceeding with the development. Okay, so stick to your vision, and then next is as I was questioning agile, right? I'm not against agile. So agile is good. I have followed this one in multiple features, multiple R&D projects as well I have done. But problem with this one is, let's say if you are trying to build a complex problem, you're most likely your product or the solutions will be very cohesive. One thing is talking to another one, and then that's how it will be. So instead of agile will let you build a small thing, try to get feedback, pivot it, and then just repeat it, right? That's how it does. And then if you do that like that, you might have bunch of features there, but actually you don't have very cohesive idea that you wanted to bring into the market. You won't be able to make it. And then we did try even for the data plant earlier 6 months when we were doing this one, we were sitting on the mess of trying to solve individual feature, we are basically junk of all. We were not master of any, right? So that kind of thing was there. So there, instead of you should convert your idea in the layer of horizontal way. First iteration, okay, minimal offerings I'm putting, but at least one component is talking to another component. That's how you should actually build that. So that cohesiveness you should bring. So and then you might have to actually little bit deviate from the agile. So while building the cohesiveness or the layer of the product, you can follow the agile method, but not as a feature. Think about as a how do I say, maybe a V1 of your full product, right? Don't talk about just a feature. I'm talking about the idea of the product, full feature itself. So think horizontally, not vertically. Okay. Then third point brings me, first we were thinking about don't mimic, and then don't go with just agile. Then third point is, this is where a lot of people actually make mistake, and not even in conventional problem as well, right? There is a lot of talks around, how you identify your purpose, whether you are solving the right problem or not, right? So this is one story I'm sharing here. Recently, I was attending this one entrepreneurship I-Corp program from SLU. This a professor was sharing this story, and I found it interesting. And then what he said, right? This goes well like this. So think about going back into 1800, and then you went to some horse farmer, and they had a bunch of horses, and then they are into transportation business. And then you'll ask, okay, what is the issue you have? They might say, I need to feed these horses, this is the cleaning stuff, I don't have field, I need a staff and all. If you provide some kind of services, if you provide some manpower or some machinery to do some stuff, he'll be happy, and then you can do the business. There is also a model. But instead of doing that, somebody might have thought about giving them a car, right? So what happens, you are not just listening to them, rather you are enlightening them to next level. And while doing, it's not just you are solving the transportation problem. Imagine when car came up, that's when the road were laid out, lot of gas station opened, lot of folks got a job, lots of garage were open, other company got pitched in, right? So I'm just trying to compare it, or folks who have actually started, let's say again at my own previous company, right? There was no customer success, but 1 decade there are tons of customer success company now. No one can beat Gainsight now. They are at that level, right? Especially, right? I mean, if the kind of the innovation or the kind of community connect or the kind of brand value they have, no one else can do that. So they were not just solving the post-sales problem. Rather, they were kind of creating that. Earlier, people were thinking, okay, maybe post-sales can be handled by some CRO or some kind of sales team itself can do. But they generated that problem. No, you have to have your own customer success team. That's why it is needed, and that how it will bring the value to you, and then that's how it should be monitored. So likewise, whenever you are talking to a customer, right? So you'll listen to them, their problem, and try to build a narrative, and then try to match up with your idea, and then think out of the box, and then try to enlightenment them. Okay, so I mean, lots of philosophical talk it might sound, but I'll give you some general problem here. This is about my company, Data Plant. So here was the problem. I mean, initially, as I was saying it, back in 2017, 18, I was doing some services for post-sales activity, and then I was getting some product, and then even I built some features there as well, which was kind of successful. But then I realized maybe I'm kind of stuck to a particular segment. I can do much better than that. So idea here is, what if can I build some platform where people can search like a Google? Let's say if you want to go there, you want to know about anything, you can just simply Google it, right? But similar thing can we do for analytics? Let's say some leaders, or some execs, or any folks actually, whether technical, non-technical, anyone. If they want to learn about their businesses, about their work and all, can they do somewhere? Okay, give me the insight around this one. So today, how it works, right? So you have army of team. Somebody will be bringing the data. You have the data team. You have some analyst. You have somebody who will be building your report, your dashboards and all. For that, you need to buy expensive tools, and then ultimately you will get the analytics, right? It's hard, but ultimately what they do. So by combining these teams and expensive tool, you are getting insights, right? But if you think at the core, so basically, let's say analytics, right? So you have there is only 4 categories of analytics are there. So let's say descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. What you have, why it is, what will happen, how you should solve it, how you should mitigate it, right? And then for that, in order to solve those problems, we have tool set. We have free tool, we have AutoML, we have tons of library there. You can hire a bunch of folks, and then they can do those munging and then give you insight. But why it is still hard, right? So the hardest part is domain knowledge. If I ask somebody who has handled analytics for, let's say, insurance domain, and I'll ask, can you give me a forecast for retail? He might give me some report, but not very compelling one, right? So domain knowledge matters a lot. So that's when it clicked me, and then what I'm doing right now, experimenting with just post-sales, but ultimately I'll be expanding it to any domain. So I have the concept there, where how the analytics happens. And then instead of relying on the human force, can I build a knowledge base? Because last 7-8 years, I am pretty much, very much into it. What happens in post-sales, I know in and out. If I can convert that into some kind of model, which I'm trying to do that, so I don't need any admins, I don't need any analyst, I don't need a data scientist there. And then we have got some, early traction there as well. I mean, just you throw in some data and then answer a couple of questions, what is what, that's it. You don't have to do any kind of data munging, cleaning, or any kind of so-called technical pipelining and all. We will take care of everything. And then you just search it. Okay, I need how my revenue is going with my user adoption. You will get tons of insights around that. You just choose what you want. You don't build it. So in order to do that, in first, if you look at initial stage, okay, automatic in analytics, it looks very abstract, right? Some people thought about, okay, are you doing AutoML? So basically, no, we are not doing AutoML. we are trying, AutoML, if you see, it does, it simplifies the, the technicality of the whatever analytics or the ML you have, right? It will try to simplify or put a layer. It does not have the domain knowledge there. So I'm trying to bring that domain knowledge, and then I will expand it to be on post-sales as well. So if I look at right now, going back to the talk track that we were thinking about, mimicking or listening to the customer and all, it was easy for me to build another Gainsight kind of thing, right? It's still comparing, because a lot of things which is working, not working, where they are lagging. Obviously, it's not like in one domain only one company will be there, right? I can do decent job there as well. But truly to help somebody who is non-technical or who is struggle early stage to mid-sized company, where it's a very big headache for them to whether to bring or in-house analytics tool or analytics team or not. If I want to solve that problem, if I want to build a Google like analytics and Google for analytics, right? So what it will take. So I'm on that journey. I'm just trying to, this is my baby step there. So hopefully, I'll be able to, make some difference there. But yeah, that's the story around what I have learned, and then how I'm trying to implement it. Here are some takeaway that I believe, and then based on my experience and then my domain and all, right? So basically we should, as we know, right, I am even struggling today with the limited resources. We have to accept it. I mean, there is no other way. It's not like there is some solution that we are missing. We have to accept it and then try to utilize it smartly, right? And then basically if you, take a stand, if you don't mimic that, I'll repeat that, and then building around the narrative. Hopefully you now got the right, what narrative I'm talking about. Pain is needed. That's how, using the pain of the customer, you will build the narrative, and then using the narrative, you'll be building the product. Okay? Yeah, so, and then this is hard. The fourth one, if you see, right, not every day we do the invention and all. Whatever I'm trying to build right now, I'm not sure, how much time it will take to make a Google for analytics, right? So, but that is in the direction, and then every day it does not happen. It takes time sometimes, and then maybe we can do a right innovation on the regular basis, but right invention is hard to do on the daily basis, right? So this is more towards on that line, but yeah, ideally, if you have some idea which can disrupt the market, you should stick to that dimension actually. Yeah, so that's all I have. If you have any questions, or hopefully this was at least little bit of help if somebody thinks in that direction. Okay. Very good. Yeah.
I appreciate what you said about, I think Steve Blank talks about customers lie, and they're not really lying, on purpose. They're just telling you what you think you want to know, and versus what they actually do. So I think observing behavior and asking them to tell about stories about when you did this, what was that like, as opposed to just asking them, especially never ask them, do you want to buy this, or do you like this idea? But I appreciated that.
Yeah, so basically you're asking how you get to know whether they are sharing the right pain or not, or what?
Yeah, and particularly, and I spent a lot of time in consumer products, and we used to recruit people for buying this certain product, but they were in front of other customers. They would lie and say, "Oh, I don't know, I don't buy that," And so that's a perfect example of that, where particularly for peer pressure, they may say something different in front of other customers in a focus group setting and those kind of things. But in general, and also people can't. It's hard for customers and particularly consumers to think about, what I did, 2 years ago, or what was this like, or even also difficult to say what I might do in the future.
Yeah, and then moreover, if you're talking to some customers, right, and probably we are tend to get biased with our baby. Whatever you are building, right? You might lead with okay, no, this is the good for you. You should use that. You should never lead them to even do your product as well. On the other hand, if you talk to somebody, right? So first thing they will talk about is the immediate pain that they have.
Yeah.
They will never give you the vision or something. You need to build out of that, actually, whatever they are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your last point is almost kind of like Wayne Gretzky. One of the reasons he was so good, he would say, I skate to where the puck's going, not where the puck's at.
Well, what is, can you come again?
Yeah, he skates to where the hockey puck is going, not where it's currently at. So he's always skating in front of where the puck's going. And that's, I think, what you're talking about in terms of trying to understand where the customers are going, not necessarily where their current state, their current problems, how is that problem going to evolve over time?
So, I mean, okay. So you are asking around like how you figure it out, I mean, how this problem will evolve, right? Yeah. So, I mean, for that, obviously, I mean, the way I think, I see this one, I mean, from where your idea has generated. Sometimes whatever idea we get it, right? So, even first place, you didn't have, something very unique, or maybe you thought, okay, this is a piece of problem, I can solve it, right? So the generation, the root of the problem, right? That's how you will get the more information about what you actually want to build. So first of all, you have to talk to a lot of people around that, and then try to think about whatever the uniqueness that you have in your mind, right? Because one person might not lead you or not give you the vision that basically you cannot rely on somebody else to give you the what should be the vision. It has to come from your side, and then the way you are kind of framing your the idea. Okay.
So my question is about, so whenever you start the company, it's like you and founders working on a product, and like everyone involved understands like the use case, they've interviewed customers, they know what they're building, but sort of when you take the first step to, let's say, hire a consultant to do a small piece of it for like the next iteration because the founders don't have enough time to do it, my question is how much and what should you share? Or like what are like the most important things to share like with that consultant who you're not hiring full time, so you don't want to just overwhelm them with all this information? Okay. But like what do you think are the most important things to share that are like the biggest bang for the buck?
Sure. So I mean that brings the way when you manage the resource crunch as well. Initially, obviously you cannot have full-time folks. Mostly you'll go with the freelancer and then contractors as well. So the way I perceive it is, like you should not expect that they will have similar context that the way that you have. Even if you share the information, right, they might not get it. So try to start with, let's say if it is contractor or working on particular piece of the product, right, you can give till that point. If you have some longer period of engagement with them, let's say if you have like 1 year, 2 year, that kind of contract, or the full-time folks, right, you can start giving them slowly the visions. Because I mean, in my experience, I tried multiple times what I'm thinking or my co-founder is thinking, but they don't get it. They will be still thinking about as if this is my piece of project, this is input, output, and then my job is done. So it's better to initially to save your own the secret or something if you don't want to share it. And then it's not about just a secret, right? Even if you share it, they might not get it. So it's better to stick to whatever the component that you are asking them to build, right? Stick to information about that component. As they grow with you, you might share more information, and then over a period of time they can learn. See, that cannot happen because once you start company, right? So the idea might be bringing up probably in few months, few years as well, right? So similar kind of feeling they will not have, and they will not get it actually. So yeah, component level we can share the data.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.